Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta.
So we are continuing with Sri Chaitanya Charitamrta Adi Lila chapter 4 verse number 35. Bhavet kriya vidhilin sai iha kaya kartavya avashya ei anyatha pratayavaya. Translation and purport by Sheila Prabhupada. Here the use of the verb bhavet, which is in the imperative mode, tells us that this certainly must be done. Non-compliance would be abandonment of duty. Purport. This imperative is applicable to pure devotees. Neophytes will be able to understand these affairs only after being elevated by regulated devotional service under the expert guidance of the spiritual master. Then they too will be competent to hear of the love affairs of Radha and Krishna. As long as one is in material, conditioned life, strict discipline is required in the matter of moral and immoral activities. The absolute world is transcendental and free from such distinctions because there inebriety is not possible. But in this material world, a sexual appetite necessitates distinction between moral and immoral conduct. There are no sexual activities in the spiritual world. The transactions between lover and beloved in the spiritual world are pure transcendental love and unadulterated bliss. One who has not been attracted by the transcendental beauty of rasa will certainly be dragged down into material attraction, thus to act in material contamination and progress to the darkest region of hellish life. But by understanding the conjugal love of Radha and Krishna, one is freed from the grip of attraction to material so-called love between man and woman. Similarly, one who understands the pure parental love of Nanda and Yashoda for Krishna will be saved from being dragged into material parental affection. This is a very important sentence. Similarly, one who understands the pure parental love of Nanda and Yashoda for Krishna will be saved from being dragged into material parental affection. If one accepts Krishna as the supreme friend, the attraction of material friendship will be finished for him, and he will not be dismayed by so-called friendship with mundane wranglers. If he is attracted by servitorship to Krishna, he will no longer have to serve the material body in the degraded status of material existence with the false hope of becoming master in the future. Similarly, one who sees the greatness of Krishna in neutrality will certainly never again seek the so-called relief of impersonalist or voidist philosophy. If one is not attracted by the transcendental nature of Krishna, one is sure to be attracted to material enjoyment, thus to become implicated in the clinging network of virtuous and sinful activities, and to continue material existence by transmigrating from one material body to another. Only in Krishna consciousness can one achieve the highest perfection of life. Om Agyanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurumritam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. What a nice verse, and what a strong, powerful purport by Srila Prabhupada. Let us start the class. So here, there's an important word in this verse that we read, which is imperative. Imperative means something something that is very crucial, or something that is of vital importance. And Srila Prabhupada in the purport says that this imperative is applicable only to pure devotees. It is not possible for beginners or for neophytes to understand. Understand what? The relationship between Radha and Krishna. And that's why Srila Prabhupada insisted that everyone read Canto 1 through 9 first. Try to understand that, and then go to Canto 10, where one can learn more about the relationship between Radha and Krishna. So Srila Prabhupada, he has given us this process so that we can gradually elevate ourselves in Krishna consciousness, but under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master. Now, if on our own we open the book and we read, we will not really understand until and unless it is explained to us in the strict parampara. So in this verse, there is talk about following the rules and regulations. So Srila Prabhupada is telling us in his purport that these rules and regulations must be followed, which means one should have very strict sadhana in the association of devotees. And not only that, one should make sincere efforts to progress and not stay on that comfortable position. How many of us like to be in our comfort zone? Everybody. Do not disturb. We have a big board on our forehead. Do not disturb. I just want to do which I am comfortable doing, which is according to my situation, according to my thinking, according to how I think everything should go. Please do not disturb. I remember my grandson wanted to put a notice outside his room, do not disturb. How many kids have that? All of them have that, right? Because they are in their comfort zone in their room. They can do what they want to do. They can play games, they can, talk to friends, or be on computer, whatever it is. So Srila Prabhupada, he wants us to come out of that comfort zone. We just don't say, okay, my job is chant 16 rounds every day, offer bhoga, and then I'm done. No. Here, Srila Prabhupada says rules and regulations must be followed very strictly, because we are on the neophyte stage. Sometimes we feel when we are in comfort zone, and when we hear from Srila Prabhupada that one should follow sadhana strictly, then we like, oh no, let me go at my pace, the pace that I decide. I decide that I do want to come back into this material world in my next life. How many of us want to do that? Come back. Nobody? Really? Material world is not like a clubhouse. So many facilities are there. We have our own house to in our comfort zone, right? No, if it is not, if we really want to not come back into this material world, then we need to increase our pace of devotional service. I remember my husband and I, we were preaching to a new group of devotees. They were learning Bhagavad Gita, from the beginning in Danwoodi. And so then we would gradually introduce, right? It's not that first day you come and we say, here's a beat back, chant 16 rounds. They will never come back. So gradually we had to cultivate them, teach Bhagavad Gita. And you were there, Krishna Shanam, right? Did we give you beat bag on first day? No, we did not. We didn't do that. So gradually, and then, so when gradually we started introducing, okay, now please give up onion, garlic, like, oh, ho, ho. How can we eat food without onion, garlic? We are so used to doing that. Then gradually, these are the 4 rules that to be followed. Give up tea. Oh, one of them said, I'll give up tea one day before initiation. That is comfort zone. Not only that, then gradually we introduce you need to read every day. So then one person asked me, when are you going to stop? Why do you keep increasing? You're giving us so much work to do. It is there in the scriptures. It is given to us by our spiritual master, given to us by Sheila Prabhupada. So we should not think that let me go at my slow pace and then whenever I have time, I will do what I need to do. No, there is no guarantee how much time is left. Does anyone have appointment with death? I don't. Wish we did, so we would know, oh, I'm going to live X number of years. So now I'm going to make my plan how I'm going to progress spiritually. No, we have no time left. Srila Prabhupada says that everyone should understand that the death can strike at any moment. Not that just because it is said that, it is, I'm only 50 years old or I have another 50 years to live. No, there is no such thing. There's no such thing, right? I'm in a class. So here, Srila Prabhupada, he's saying that no amount of reading or hearing is sufficient. That cannot help us until and unless we put it into practice. All this reading and hearing is helpful only when we try to put it into practice. So it's just that the mind needs to be trained with the help of intelligence, like we learned in Bhagavad Gita. We need to train the mind to somehow or the other progress on the spiritual path. Of course, Krishna tells us in the Bhagavad Gita that I'm in everyone's heart. If one wants to know me, wants my knowledge, wants to remember me, wants to forget me, I will do as you please. So we choose what we really want to do. So strict discipline is very important in the matter of moral and immoral activities as per Srila Prabhupada. Why? Because we are conditioned souls. We have that conditioning since time immemorial that we just want to work on the bodily platform. But this, Prabhupada says, it is not the case in spiritual world. In spiritual world, there is no such thing as moral, immoral activities. No. Every day, everyone there is a pure devotee. There is a pure relationship with Radha and Krishna over there. And there are no sexual activities in the spiritual world. They are only there over here. Over in spiritual world, there are only pure loving exchanges, no exploitation at all. But in the material world, we need to have that distinction between moral and immoral conduct, right? So here in this verse, Srila Prabhupada is giving the importance also of Krishna Katha. Because Krishna Katha, just hearing about the pastimes of Krishna can help us to purify ourselves. Like in the purport, Srila Prabhupada says that if we hear about Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda and Krishna, their relationship, the pastimes they had together, then that same parental love also will develop within us. It can help us to remove the attachment. What is that important sentence I read twice? One who understands the pure parental love of Nanda and Yashoda for Krishna will be saved from being dragged into material parental affection, because we are so attached to our children that we are not able to really relish the pastimes of Krishna with Mother Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj. So if we accept Krishna as our dear friend like Arjuna did, then we will not be dismayed. So it's important to hear these pastimes of Krishna, but at the same time put it into practice. And most importantly, Prabhupada says in the purport, understand Krishna is the only master. He is the only controller. So when we start performing bhakti seriously, then we will also give up that designation that we carry with us. What is that designation? I am the controller. I am the master. Everything should run according to my plan. But that is not true. Let's go to verse number 36 and 37. Ei vancha yeche Krishna praktya karana asura samhara anusanga prayojana Ei mata chaitanya Krishna purna bhagavan yuga dharma pravartana nahe tamrukam. Translation by Sheila Prabhupada. Just as these desires are the fundamental reason for Krishna's appearance, whereas destroying the demons is only an incidental necessity, so for Sri Krishna Chaitanya, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, promulgating the dharma of the age is incidental. So we know Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came 540 years ago just to give us Krishna consciousness, just to promote how to love. He showed us the way to lead a religious life. Just like in Bhagavad Gita we have read, Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam. So his main purpose is to protect the devotees, to have that loving relationship with them, but killing the demons is incidental. So also here it is said that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, his primary reason for coming was to give us love for Krishna. Next verse, 38. Kona karane yabe haila avatare mana yuga dharma kala haila sekali milana. Translation by Prabhupada. When the Lord desired to appear for another reason, the time for promulgating the religion of the age also arose. So it was just by the way. So he came to experience the love that Radharani relishes for Krishna. That is what he wanted, relish. But at the time, promoting Krishna consciousness also arose at the same time. So that was incidental. Number 39. Dui hetu avatari lana bhaktagana apane asvade prema nama sankirtana. Translation by Prabhupada. Thus, with two intentions, the Lord appeared with his devotees and tasted the nectar of Prema with the congregational chanting of the holy name. So what are these two intentions? One is to relish Radharani's position and to spread the holy name of Krishna. Holy name is very, very powerful. One can actually taste the nectar of the holy name only by attentive chanting. Sometimes devotees say, oh, I've been chanting for so many years, but I don't really have that, deep desire to chant more. The moment my 16 rounds are over, I can keep my bead bag in a safe place, which I don't want to see again till next morning. Why that relish is not there, nectar is not there, that, oh, this chanting is, giving so much happiness, so much pleasure, it is so nectarian, is because chanting is not attentive. In the introduction to this chapter, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, he gives three reasons for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's coming. Srila Prabhupada has given a nice introduction in the beginning of the chapter. And he says, number one is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that is Krishna himself. He wanted to relish the position of Srimati Radharani. Next was, he wanted to understand the transcendental mellow of himself, of Krishna himself. So he accepted the mentality of Srimati Radharani. And of course, to enjoy the bliss that Srimati Radharani enjoys in loving Krishna. Then there were secondary reasons why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came. He came to give us the Mahamantra and preach Krishna consciousness. And another reason was, he came because Sri Advaita Acharya called him. So fervently, he called him just by worshipping with tulasi leaves and Ganges water, and try to implore the Lord, please come down. This is Kali Yuga. These contaminated souls need to be saved. So this is the secondary reason why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came down more than 500 years ago. And Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, he's clearly explaining the difference between pure love and the material lust, which is actually considered love in this material world. Let's do verse number 40. Say Kirtana Sanchare Nama Prema Mala Ganthi Paraila Samsare. Translation by Sheila Prabhupada. Thus he spread Kirtana even among the untouchables. He wove a wreath of the holy name and Prema, with which he garlanded the entire material world. Jai. So he came basically to spread Krishna consciousness without discrimination. It's not that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to give the holy name only to Brahmanas, only to high caste, and not to the untouchables. No, it was free. He was giving out free love of Krishna in the entire world. And what did Srila Prabhupada do? He took Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission and brought it to the West. And now we see temples in all major cities of the world. We have millions of devotees chanting Hare Krishna every day. So thanks to Srila Prabhupada, he brought Krishna consciousness for us so that we can come out of the comfort zone and go back to Godhead. So we have two choices: comfort zone, back to Godhead; comfort zone, back to Godhead. So we choose, what do we want? And here in this verse beautifully it says that he wove a wreath of the holy name and Prema. How beautiful. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he garlanded the entire material world, and the fragrance of that garland is still fresh. No one I have seen in so many years, when they are chanting the holy name, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, that they get a bad smell and they close their nose. I have never seen. The fragrance is still there because it is the holy name, which is very, very, very powerful. Let's do the last verse for today. Number 41. Eimata bhakta bhava kari angikara apani achari bhakti karila prachara. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. In this way, assuming the sentiment of a devotee, he preached devotional service while practicing it himself. Purport. When Rupa Goswami met Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at Prayag, Allahabad, he offered his respectful obeisances by submitting that Lord Chaitanya was more magnanimous than any other avatara of Krishna because he was distributing love of Krishna. His mission was to enhance love of Godhead. In the human form of life, the highest achievement is to attain the platform of love of Godhead. Lord Chaitanya did not invent a system of religion as people sometimes assume. Religious systems are meant to show the existence of God, who is then generally approached as the cosmic order supplier. But Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's transcendental mission is to distribute love of Godhead to everyone. Anyone who accepts God as the Supreme can take to the process of chanting Hare Krishna and become a lover of God. Therefore, Lord Chaitanya is the most magnanimous. This munificent broadcasting of devotional service is possible only for Krishna himself. Therefore, Lord Chaitanya is Krishna. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna has taught the philosophy of surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One who has surrendered to one who has surrendered to the Supreme can make further progress by learning to love him. Therefore, the Krishna consciousness movement propagated by Lord Chaitanya is especially meant for those who are cognizant of the presence of the Supreme Godhead, the ultimate controller of everything. His mission is to teach people how to dovetail themselves into engagements of transcendental loving service. He is Krishna teaching his own service from the position of a devotee. The Lord's acceptance of the role of a devotee in the eternal form of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is another of the Lord's wonderful features. A conditioned soul cannot reach the absolute personality of Godhead by his imperfect endeavor. And therefore, it is wonderful that Lord Sri Krishna, in the form of Lord Gauranga, has made it easy for everyone to approach him. Swarup Damodar Goswami has described Lord Chaitanya as Krishna himself, with the attitude of Radharani, or a combination of Radha and Krishna. The intention of Lord Chaitanya is to taste Krishna's sweetness in transcendental love. He does not care to think of himself as Krishna because he wants the position of Radharani. We should remember this. A class of so-called devotees called the Nadiya Nagaris or Gaura Nagaris pretend that they have the sentiment of gopis towards Lord Chaitanya, but they do not realize that he placed himself not as the enjoyer Krishna, but as the enjoyed, the devotee of Krishna. The concoctions of unauthorized persons pretending to be bona fide have not been accepted by Lord Chaitanya. Presentations such as those of the Gaura Nagaris are only disturbances to the sincere execution of the mission of Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya is undoubtedly Krishna himself, and he is always non-different from Srimati Radharani. But the emotion technically called Vipralamba Bhav, which the Lord adopted for confidential reasons, should not be disturbed in the name of service. A mundaner should not unnecessarily intrude into affairs of transcendence and thereby displease the Lord. One must always be on guard against this sort of devotional anomaly. A devotee is not meant to create disturbances to Krishna. As Sheila Rupa Goswami has explained, devotional service is anukulyena, or favorable to Krishna. Acting unfavorably toward Krishna is not devotion. Kamsa was the enemy of Krishna. He always thought of Krishna, but he thought of him as an enemy. One should always avoid such unfavorable so-called service. Lord Chaitanya has accepted the role of Radharani, and we should support that position as Swarup Damodar did in the Gambhira, or the room where Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu stayed in Puri. He always reminded Lord Chaitanya of Radha's feelings of separation as they are described in Srimad Bhagavatam, and Lord Chaitanya appreciated his assistance. But the Gaura Nagaris, who placed Lord Chaitanya in the position of enjoyer and themselves as his enjoyed, are not approved by Lord Chaitanya or by Lord Chaitanya's followers. Instead of being blessed, the foolish imitators are left completely apart. Their concoctions are against the principles of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The doctrine of transcendental enjoyment by Krishna cannot be mixed up with the doctrine of transcendental feeling of separation from Krishna in the role of Radha Rani. What a beautiful verse and a very, very powerful purport with so many points. So we see how merciful is Krishna. He came as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He came as a devotee. He preached Krishna consciousness and he also followed it. He just didn't say, go chant. He also chanted the holy names of the Lord. So we understand from this that we need to practice before we preach. Then our preaching will have effect. Otherwise, it will just be a class. You just listen to a class and that's about it. No. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is also called Mahavadanyaya, which means most magnanimous. Why? Because he did not demand anything. Krishna, when he came 5,000 years ago, he demanded, Sarva Dharman Parityagya. You have to surrender unto me. Then he said, I will wipe out all your sins. Did Chaitanya Mahaprabhu do that? No, he had no demands at all. He just begged us to chant and just follow his mission and be able to remove contamination and go back to Godhead. But of course, we know Srila Prabhupada has, in most of his purpose, told us human life is for sense enjoyment, right? I'm glad you all are awake. No, it is for self-realization. At first, it sounded so sweet. Human life is for sense enjoyment. Ooh, hoo, hoo, hoo. We are in Swarga. No, human life is meant for self-realization. It is meant for purification so that we can purify ourselves completely and develop love for Krishna. The love for the Lord is there in the heart. We just need to revive it. In fact, we have heard that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, excuse me, he gave the love of Godhead for free. Did he charge us? No. But do people have value for free things? No. When we pay for something, we say, oh, now this must be really very important, then we should follow. No. Just because it is free doesn't mean that it has no value. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he gave us the Maha Mantra, he gave us Krishna consciousness, the most valuable thing we can have in this human form of life. He not only came as a devotee, but he showed us how to love Krishna. He just didn't come, gave us Shikshasakam and then, no, he explained not only explained, he also himself followed the process of attaining love for Krishna. And that Prabhupada says is possible when we dovetail all our activities in Krishna's service. So we are very grateful to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for teaching us how to be a devotee. We must not be mistaken that once we start chanting, we are a devotee. No, there's a lot involved in being called a devotee. So these instructions given to us by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami are going to help us in improving our spiritual life. Now, last Saturday, we heard about Sahajiyas. And today we are hearing about Gaur-Nagaris, right? They are same like that. No, but the Gaura-Nagaris are actually a disturbance in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission. So we need to understand the difference between Sahajiyas, Gaura-Nagaris, and pure devotees. So these Gaura-Nagaris, they did not understand Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as a devotee. They thought this is the enjoyer. Let us, give him, let us give him enjoyment. No, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not come as the Supreme Lord. He came in the form of a devotee. So if we can somehow or the other come out of our comfort zone and take on Krishna consciousness more vigorously, more seriously, more sincerely, then Krishna, Guru and Krishna will be very, very pleased. We have got so many opportunities. Now another opportunity coming up on Monday. What is Monday? Janmashtami. Oh, good, you all are still awake. It is appearance day of Lord Nityananda. Who is Lord Nityananda? Yes, he is non-different than Balaram, Lord Balaram. And he appeared, we know he appeared in Ekachakra. His parents were Hadai Pandit, yes. Hadai Pandit, and his mother was Padmavati. It is mentioned, I was listening to a lecture and also reading that Padmavati was a great Vaishnavi and Adai Pandit was very renounced also. They were pure devotees. So Krishna doesn't choose anybody as his parents, right? He chooses his eternal associates, pure devotees, and they both were full of compassion, both father and mother. And Lord Nityananda was the eldest son. he appeared as the eldest son, and he was engaged in so many blissful pastimes. The most important one that we hear more often is Jagai and Madai, how he delivered Jagai and Madai. So it is said in Tattva, Lord Nityananda is the original spiritual master. And all spiritual masters, they come under Lord Nityananda. He is the original. So, and Lord, it is said that if we want to please Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then we need to please Lord Nityananda. If we want to please Lord Nityananda, then we need to get the mercy of the six Goswamis. If we want the mercy of six Goswamis, then we should get the mercy of Acharyas in the strict disciplic succession, in the parampara. And if we want that, then we have to have, we have to have that devotion to Srila Prabhupada and the gurus who are there in our movement. So to even get the mercy of Guru, we have to serve devotees. We have to serve Vaishnavas. So this is how we can reach towards the mercy of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Lord, tomorrow is, of course, not tomorrow, Monday is the appearance of Lord Nityananda. So we can, it's a wonderful opportunity that we can glorify Lord Nityananda by, serving him, by hearing about his glories. We can pray to him to please bless us that we can perform bhakti seriously and sincerely, to help us to advance spiritually, and we can pray to him to help us to go back to Godhead. So Lord Nityananda ki Jai. So we are going to end over here. Excuse me. So if